All right, so after a couple of days that I've been very busy with other stuff, and I couldn't come on out here and do the podcast. Um, just to recapture. Oh yeah, introduction first. This is My Voice is a Weapon. Welcome. I'm your director, producer, and host. I am Rogan. Okay, so as I was saying, just a couple of days were very busy with different stuff, and um, as you know, I promised here to bring up some thank you notes, and that's gonna come. Uh, but let's move on because there's a lot of things going on, and today I want to talk about some stuff that most of us have a hard time actually comprehending because it seems very the principle seems very simple and easy, but it has its complexity, which is um, a lot of things that we feel are challenging. They're challenging because they sound simple on the outside, but the effort that we actually have to put in to do certain things is extreme. So we need to understand that there's a lot of sacrifices to be made. And that's the complex part. A lot of us don't want to risk too much. We see people like Elon Musk, uh, who is in a very comfortable position now, but if we look at his whole story, he risked a lot. He did things that most of us would be extremely scared to do. And to walk in a completely opposite way to the comfort zone is something that it's certainly very scary. But apparently it works, you know, because we've seen that one way to actually get to that type of successful position as Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or those people that get to that point is to actually follow those steps in that type of direction and completely fight off. But also understanding the part where we need to better understand failure and how to work with failure in order for us to actually start generating a better lifestyle, you know, after because Elon Musk is one of those people that failed for maybe more than a decade. Everything he was doing was kind of a blunt. His ideas were thought of as too risky and way outside of reality. He was put down in the media for many years, and now we look at him, and the guy's a completely reverse story of what he was maybe 20 years ago, right? So, he certainly adapted through failure better than anybody. Better than any of us can even fathom. So that's a very interesting thing to do, and I admire that. And one of the things that I wanted to bring up is exactly how that works. What is the mindset? And one of the things that Elon Musk talks about a lot, and he says it's one of the ways to help us get into that mindset in order for us to actually succeed in many fields, not just one. It's something called first principles thinking. And he applies that for business, but you can apply that for many other aspects of life in general. And this is a concept, an idea that was first brought by Aristotle. I think it was Aristotle. I could be wrong. I'm not sure. But I think I've seen a couple of people mention that Aristotle was the first one to actually bring this thought, and it unveils the idea that it explains what a new product, right? Something new, something that we have never seen before, that somebody took the time to invent. Let's take, for example, a computer, right? When computers first arrived, nobody knew what they were, and we didn't really understand what we would use a computer for until, with time, we started to understand it better through time, really. I don't know if there was any sort of educational. Of course, nowadays it's easy to say because computers are part of some education systems around the world. Maybe not all of them, but a lot of first world countries and some third world countries have access to that. Not all of them, of course, but we can see that how things change through the course with help of technology, and we see computers and technological devices of all sorts everywhere now for many things, different things. If we take our cell phones, they're like some sort of pocket-sized computer. We use them anywhere. But coming back, this principle, I think the main concept is to take something that is new and make it known, right? I think that's the general idea. Someone explained it so much better than me, but I think, yeah, that's the first thing that comes to my mind on how to explain this is we mostly look at things and we try to come up with ideas and we try to invent things, but most of us don't go forward with it, either because we feel that we're entering a terrain where we don't know what we're doing. Either we find out that somebody else already invented that. So we look with a perception of analogy instead of looking at it with a perception of function. How does this work, right? I was watching a YouTube video the other day. I can't remember what channel it was because I watch a lot of things to bring up to as content to the podcast. But I was watching a YouTube video, very interesting, and it was saying exactly that that we look through mostly with a perception of analogy instead of looking at the function. And he mentioned that, for example, we sometimes we ask ourselves the wrong question, because one example of that is we ask ourselves, oh, but where are the flying cars? It's 2021, it's the 21st century. Right, but we don't look at it as we already have flying cars. They are called airplanes. And that's the concept, right? That's the idea. Instead of looking and asking, where are the flying cars? Look at the airplanes and try to find a way to adapt the functionality to a way to actually build a flying car. Now, I have no idea how to do that. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a mechanic of any sort. But the concept of actually bringing that type of way of thinking is brilliant. First of all, because it made me realize that that's one of the ways to, and this is something that I talk a lot here on the podcast, to achieve absolute free will, right? A few episodes ago, I've been talking about how the industrial technological complex, most importantly, the industrial complex, is now in crisis exactly because the system is completely broken. And you connect the dots to the fact that for many decades, for a very long time, since we have industry, we adapted ourselves into not thinking about the things that we do that are perhaps more important than we give them credit. For example, if I wake up at 6:30 in the morning, I have an alarm that's going to wake me up at 6:30 in the morning, then automatically, without even thinking about it, the first thing that I do is go to the toilet, do whatever I have to do, take a shower, then I'll probably have breakfast, then I'll brush my teeth, then I'll get ready, then I go to work. Now the process is automatic. You're not actually contemplating those things, you're just doing, to the point where you get to work, and I already said this in other, but I'm going to repeat it just so that if any new listeners are in, they understand what I'm talking about here. So we get to work, and instead of actually doing the things that are important to do at that moment, we concentrate already on the things that we have to do tomorrow, right? So we're no longer putting our focus on what's going on now. And that's a completely corrupt system. It's showing its cracks right there. We became robotic to the point where we stopped thinking for ourselves and what the consequences are for our actions there, right? So the filter sorry, that's not the word that I wanted to say. The idea that we go to work, and then because of that automated way to be do and don't think too much, we risk to the point where if we make a mistake, we're toast and we get fired. And they're not going to ask themselves, okay, he was tired, he made a mistake. They're going to say, no, he made such a mistake, it cost us money, so now we can't have him here anymore. And that's the broken part, right? We need to understand we're not machines here, we're human beings. But we're trying to act as if we were machines. And all of those corporations, they treat us as if we were machines. So they stop caring about the human aspect of what we do for the company, and they care only about the end result. And if the end result is not what is expected, then bam, they toss you aside. Now, that's an embedded system that has been created. Maybe, I don't know if it was created this way on purpose or things just happen. And with time, we sort of figure out how this was going to be, and we just decided that we go along with it. But it's wrong. We're finding out that that system doesn't work. It's part of the whole machinery. It comes from the top to the bottom in a very, like, I don't know if I can find the right word to describe this, but it is completely, when I say it's a broken system, it's because it has bad ways of action in every step. So after so long being adapted to that sort of corporate structure that is showing now to have a lot of issues, because people work in different fields, of course. There are warehouses, there are restaurants, there are, different industries where people go to work. But most of them has that type of automated way of acting from its workers, right? It became something that it was just almost natural to be so robotic that we didn't stop to actually think, oh, wait a minute, why am I doing this? I'm actually killing myself here, right? And this concept of first principles thinking teach us exactly the opposite, but we were never educated that way in school. None of us. I don't know in the US, but here in Europe, back in Brazil, we weren't educated that way at all. Forget about it, right? So it is very interesting to actually get to that and finally realizing, okay, so what they're telling us with this is what Elon Musk says is, college is completely useless. He's not saying it exactly that way because it wouldn't be too nice to hear it, but what he's saying is college is fucking useless. Nobody needs college, right? What you need is a technical way to apply your acknowledgments where people will see how good you are, how talented and how intelligent you are in a certain field. But nobody told us this at school, right? I'm finding out this right now. I'm fucking 37, all right? Do you really think if I had found out about this when I was like maybe in high school that I would have done certain things in my life a certain way? Of course not. I would have completely changed the click and would have tried different ways, right? But unfortunately, nobody taught me this. I had to find it out by myself. I mean, Elon Musk taught me, but he doesn't know he taught me because I don't know him personally. But watching the things that he does, following his work, trying to follow his footsteps, perhaps in a different way and in different fields, but that's what I'm talking about here. It's substantial that we start trying to apply those ways of thinking to our lives in ways that think about this, is if we find a way to, all of us, be successful with that line of thinking and acting upon it, maybe we'll finally find a way where we probably don't need government. Now, I'm not talking about being an anarchist society. I'm talking simply find a better way without a government to which we can respect some rules and, live as a society, respecting each other and being, allowing individually enough freedom for every individual to succeed in the ways that they want and they feel it's right. And another thing that I'm finding out here, and this is key, this is very important. Whenever you have more people say that the things that you're thinking and the things that you're doing aren't going to take you anywhere, and they're deniers and they're just going to tell you no, 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 that's a good sign. That means that you're actually doing the right things. Look at Elon Musk. He had a bunch of people denying him from the start. And the guy is now the richest man alive in history, right? He just recently took over Jeff Bezos as the richest man in the world. So that way of thinking is extremely powerful and it works. But it's understandable that there's a factor there and it's fear. We're too afraid of failure and we need to take away that fear. If we take away fear from the equation completely, it will be much easier to actually adapt to that system of thinking that is so actually it's proven, it works, right? It might take a long time, but it works. So we need to process that because I'm mentioning people here that are successful not just in one field, but in a number of fields. Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, those people act upon those ideas. So, we need to actually try to find that we have more passion for any prospectural idea that we might have. And the passion overcomes the fear. And that's the important part. Give it your all. Put all of your passion and effort into it. And yes, at times it won't be easy. A lot of obstacles will be in that way, but once we pass through those obstacles, things get easier. Right? So, it's extremely interesting. I think it really is something that from now on we should start thinking about implementing in education in general, in school for the new generations to be able to uh, survive this crazy environment we're in right now, right? And that's the other part of it is uh, coming back to Elon Musk. One of the things why he became so successful is he's not he has more consideration for um, the future of the planet and the future of mankind than he has for example, his own companies. You know, he actually uh, helped competition with Tesla. He gave General Motors (GM) uh, a booklet on how to better build electric cars. Now, why would he do that to his direct competition? It makes no sense. Well, because he's not looking for Tesla to be reigning supreme as the only car company to do that. He's looking in with the eyes that he wants the world to improve. He wants everybody to be able to drive electric cars. And he's very conscious that maybe Tesla might be too expensive for some people. So if others start doing the same, not only the price of Teslas will come down, there will be other brands that will bring cheaper cars, more accessible to most of us, general public as a whole. So that's very important. He's actually doing something that is helpful for everyone. And he doesn't have to do that, you know. That's not gonna make him more money. But because of the way he is, other ways of acting will make him more money. You know. So that's the important part. That's essential on the way we behave from now on. Change our ways. Be more thankful of each action that we take and why we're taking it, and actually give it a little bit of depth and substance. You know, if I'm going to wake up at 6:30 in the morning, it needs to mean something, right? Not just wake up and go to the warehouse where I used to work and, start to load and unload containers with a bunch of heavy boxes. I don't want to do that. That doesn't have any significance in my life anymore. Yeah, I get paid for it, but it's not like I'm getting well paid. So what's the point of this? Get a minimal wage salary with a very insignificant job? Nobody wants that. Nobody. And the system is so broken that even education now, how can you trust education if college isn't as important as we thought it was? Oh, we need skilled people with certain acknowledgement about, okay, yes, we need doctors. Fine. We do need doctors. We need engineers. All right. Yeah. I don't know if we need them, but there is an importance to what they do. You know, we do need industries, but not the way that they are now. We need technology, but the corporations that are bringing us the technology are completely invading our privacy. So we need to find a way to, yes, we appreciate everything those corporations do in terms of we have the internet, we have computers, faster computers, we have different types of devices of all sorts. We can listen to music anywhere. That's fine. But don't fucking invade my privacy. Don't sell my private data to other corporations just because you're making money out of it. Because that should be my fucking money. It's my data you're selling, you bastards. So, those are really good ways to start operating our lives. And I know a lot of people, oh, what do I do now? I take my kids out of school? What? Maybe taking your kids out of school is not really what you need to do, but perhaps try to find a school with a different educational methodology. Because there are some schools that have different methods of educating kids. And perhaps they are better. Maybe that's the answer. Start having a more spread out educational system where we have different ways of educating. A more variable form of education. And start educating them about stuff that is really important that we never were taught in school ourselves. Things like how to handle money, how to manage money. We're not taught that in school. They don't tell us about that in school because they don't want us to know. And perhaps, here's the irony, they give us internet. And now, thanks to internet, we're finding out these things. Because the information is so abruptly out there. You get it like this. And I think it's an important step to start taking as civilization goes on, moves forward. I'm starting to take steps here. I'm trying to move out of Europe. I'm thinking of a couple of places to move to. Maybe sometime in the future I'm going to reveal it here in the podcast, but for now, I don't want to say too much. But the idea that we could have done things a lot differently is something that perhaps gives a little bit of hope for everybody that thinks that things were so bad. Because it means that there are ways to change the system. And we're starting to see that some people are doing that. They're changing things. Look at the Redditors with Wall Street and NASDAQ and all of those investors. So this is fascinating. But I really wish that I have known better, I wish I knew all of this when I was way younger. But I can't be regretful because, some kind of way, I am thankful that I found out about this now. It means that I still have some time to process and try to do it my way. Find success. And perhaps I'm already doing it with the podcast. Maybe. I mean, it's starting to grow faster and faster every day. I didn't expect that it would grow that fast in 2-3 weeks that I've been doing this. And yeah, perhaps it could grow faster. But for someone who just started doing this and had no idea, and is just now starting to understand how this whole thing works, it really is, it gives me a little more enthusiasm to keep going with the podcast. I could have said, you know what, this isn't working, forget about it, close the shop down, and and sometimes perhaps the first 3-4 episodes I felt that way. I think maybe I was a little bit too tense and not in disregarding the importance of the result, which isn't bad. And it wasn't bad. I thought it was terrible. It wasn't. So yeah, that's the way to move forward. I think we really have to start looking into this first principles technique, way of thinking. I'm just reading a little bit just to have a better understanding of what this is. So it says here, apply lateral thinking. What are the preconceptions about your life and business that you currently holding you back? So that's a way to help you with whatever vision you have, Or it might help you to come up with a vision in the future if you don't have one now. It's always important to, centralize the thought on what you're doing at that moment. Don't just become a machine and do it just because everybody else is doing it. Forget about that. It doesn't work. As a society, we are not as connected to each other as we may have thought we were. Here's the proof of that. What are the factual assumptions that might not be actual facts? And that's very important to me. There's so much false information that we take as real that is insane. Insane. There is so much bullshit that they fed to us and we believed, that we're only now starting to realize, oh, hold on a second, that's not exactly how this works. So another point that I'm reading here says, what are the language patterns that you are using as you are framing your solutions that might lead you to make assumptions that are not correct? Just following the previous point, right? It's exactly the way to go here. Start analyzing language a little more, you know. Have a better understanding of everything that any information that is given to us. We need to stop and look at it with 10 pair of glasses and focus our attention completely to each point of that information, because we need to see what is real and what is not real inside that whole information structure. So, last point says take all of your growth questions and any other questions, throughput, manufacturing, distribution, acquisition or sale, and frame them in terms of ideal outcome and constraint. So that's exactly a very good pattern to follow. Now, of course, we need to understand all of the complexities inside doing and following this first principles thinking theories, right? Because it's not going to be easy, of course not. And the hardest part will be the starting point, because it's where all the obstacles will come together against you. People will say no more often than not. Whatever idea you come with, prepare yourself to have more no's than you ever had in your life. It's going to happen. But that's what I said before. It's a good it's a good sign that most people are going against you. You know, it means you're on the right path. Because either they're just saying okay, or either they don't even think about it and just go against it because they're used to saying no to that type of thinking, or they actually know that it might work and they're afraid that if they don't get to that idea first, the only way to stop you going forward with is say, no, it's not going to work. It's never going to work. Forget about it. And then somebody else comes in with that idea, puts it forward, goes through with it, and becomes super successful. And then you sit in there like a dumbass saying, oh shit. So this person probably had everybody tell them no and didn't care. And I just sat my butt because I was too afraid to act against the grain. So that's perhaps the most important issue here. We need to make a very strong effort to take away the fear of the no's, the fear of the amount of effort that we'll need to put into this, and reapply every thinking structure, rebuild it from the ground up. So, um, I think it's been a long time coming that we wake up and start realizing that unless we act ourselves and start doing the things that we really want to do, or finding things that we want to do, even if everybody else is against it, just do it. You know? And I know you're probably thinking, this guy's crazy. Probably doesn't have a family. That's not. I have a family. And trust me, even they said no plenty of times to me. And instead of actually taking action and going against the grain and being persistent and saying, wait a minute, I know I can do this, even without your approval, or even if you don't think that I can get here, I believe I can. And I will. And then the I will becomes I did it. In your face. Right? Not in an aggressive way, but more like I told you. I told you so. And all of those people, they did all of this. And the most amazing thing is they don't flounder the success in everybody else's nose, It's not like Elon Musk takes his success and starts rubbing in the faces of everybody that said no to him. That's not what he does. He keeps working. And the most fascinating aspect of Elon Musk is the guy not only does one impossible thing, he does a bunch of them and makes them possible. That's the level of genius that this guy has. Right? Well, most of us try to figure one. The guy's doing 5, 6, 10 impossible stuff. So, I guess I'm gonna leave this right now. This was probably the most interesting podcast I did. One of my favorites, for sure, so far. And this is episode 14, I think. Not sure yet, but yeah, I think it's episode 14. So I will try to bring some more stuff tomorrow. We need to keep this going. Remember, my voice is a podcast. My voice is a weapon, sorry. Our voices are a weapon. Let's make it happen. Thank you all very much. I'll be bringing a thank you note very soon. And see you next time.